Life, for me, ain't been no crystal stair. Growing up in a low-income household, I'll tell you, I have experienced the unimaginable. During my childhood, I had no one in my immediate family to look up to. As I began to climb the stairway to success, I discovered the tax of isolation, loneliness, and solidarity. And instead of climbing the stairs, I wanted to sit on them. And in the words of Langston Hughes, Courtney, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on them steps because you find this kind of hard. Don't you fall now. Change is not easy, but I had to make one. I had to succeed. So I stood up and began to climb the stairs again. I found myself spending late afternoons in the quietness of my school building, completing assignments. Because I knew when I got home, the chaotic environment would be too challenging for me to complete my best work. My obstacles encouraged me to make the most of every personal and academic opportunity to change my life. My obstacles remind me that my environment must change, and it has. Because I am the valedictorian of the School of Banking, Finance, and Investment. I am a Project Grad Brumley Scholar, a Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Atlanta Suburban Alumni Chapter Scholar, a Benedict College Trustee Scholar, a Posse Scholar, and a 2013 Gates Millennium Scholar, which will cover all of my expenses for my undergraduate and graduate studies. So you see, I stood up. And in the words of Langston Hughes, I still going, honey. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
Frederick Douglass once said, if there's no struggle, there's no progress. Like most of my peers, I grew up in neighborhoods that were considered rough areas. Inside this impoverished experience lies drug addicts, prostitutes, beggars, violence, all acceptable among people who relinquish their perseverance to their circumstances. I remember witnessing my parents who struggled to pay monthly bills. I remember my peers who had to make sacrifices on how they would receive their next meal or where they may go to sleep at night. I remember the hardships I witnessed others undergo, which required perseverance to overcome their obstacles. Yet for me, I felt a strong person towards education as my way of overcoming my circumstances.
Today is a day of acknowledgement, the day that we take the time to notice that we are among the 48% of minorities that graduate from high school. We made the right choices to get here. One right choice guided us in the path to college rather than to the path to the penitentiary like so many others. They fell victim to the trickery and shortcuts, but we all did not. We saw through the trickery. We had a choice to dwell on our unfortunate upbringings or use them as motivation. My dad left me when I was a child. I could have continued to blame myself for his leaving and accomplished nothing. Instead, I used it as motivation to achieve the unthinkable at such a young age. This transformed me into the man that I am today. Then I realized that I was not alone. I realized that I was a member of the 84% of minorities not raised by both parents. I have suffered from insecurity, that I was being judged too harshly. I could have crumbled under this weight. Instead, I harnessed my anxiety to make myself stronger. I overcame the odds, and because of this, I stand in front of you as the first African-American male valedictorian in the history of Harvard Health Sciences and Research.
It was difficult for me to figure out what I was going to stand here and say in front of a crowd of almost 4,000 people. Was I going to share my story of tears? How I grew up in a low-income neighborhood where the dropout rate was higher than the graduation rate? How I was evicted from home to home and watched my mom and sisters live out of a U-Haul truck? How I went to bed hungry some nights and woke up trying to figure out how I was going to get to school? Or how I watched my mom battle breast cancer just months after my aunt died of it? Or was I going to share my story of triumph? How I became the first salutatorian in my family to graduate. Or the first, or how me and my twin sister Jada became the first to go off to top 4-year universities. Or how I became one of the 2 incomparable Gates Millennium Scholars at my school. But soon it all came together and it hit me. And that is when I realized that no matter where you come from, no matter your background, rich or poor, educated or uneducated, legacy or no legacy, greatness is not at all hereditary. Greatness is a choice.
Greatness was never a choice to me. It was a responsibility. A responsibility bestowed on me when my mother, a junior and MLK scholar on Emory's campus, found out she was pregnant and made the choice to struggle for the life she was carrying rather than opt out for the life she dreamed of. She ended up having to leave, and I have chosen to continue my academic pursuits at Emory University to finish what she started. LaTangela Bunkley Hill, you stood in the same place 21 years ago as the valedictorian of Booker T. Washington's class of 1992. Your sacrifice is what has elevated me here, and I hope my success shows my gratitude for all you have done. I decided at a young age that my grandmother didn't clean houses to care for my mom and me, for me to be regular. My mom didn't lose her scholarship for me to fit in, and God did not bless me with exceptional talent for me to be anything less than great.
I will endure to show any peer of mine that just because you are born into unfortunate circumstances doesn't mean that you're entitled to them. They are not the makers of your destiny. I will endure to show anyone who does not believe in the power of education that it is the key to unlocking any dream that you hope to accomplish. I will continue to endure for me because I have chosen a life of greatness.
Would all Brumley scholars please stand and be recognized?
George W. Brumley, Jr. Scholarship recipients, please stand.
58 students will receive the George W. Brumley, Jr. Brumley-GRAD Atlanta Scholarship. 18 scholars from the School of Computer Animation and Design, please stand. 26 scholars from the School of Health and Medical Sciences, please stand. Thank you. And 14 scholars from the School of Law and Social Justice, please stand.